Welcome to the Legacy Leaders Podcast. Are you doing the best for your client to help them create their legacy? Are you creating a plan that goes far beyond finances to help people ensure that it becomes the driving force behind all decisions? On this podcast, hosts Katie Beth Hand and Stan Miller will help you with growing your practice and your clients' peace of mind. Together, they bring the best and brightest minds to share with you how to help your clients develop their best legacy. And now, here are your hosts, Katie Beth and Stan.
Welcome back to the Legacy Leaders Podcast. We're your hosts, Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand. Joining us today is New York City attorney Zach Perecman. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Zach, as we're getting started, tell our listeners a little bit about your firm and what it is that your team specializes in.
Sure. Our firm, the Perecman Firm, we're a personal injury and workers' compensation law firm based in New York City and Manhattan, New York. We represent injured people and workers in all 5 boroughs of New York City, as well as the 2 counties in Long Island, Nassau and Suffolk County, and sometimes a little bit of Westchester, but mostly based in New York City. We do exactly basically as what our name says. So we represent people injured in accidents. That includes motor vehicle accidents, premises accidents, construction accidents, and all the other types that you generally hear about. We do tend to represent a lot of injured workers, which means that those people also have workers' compensation claims, which we also handle here as well, but it's a separate department in our firm. So we have workers' compensation claims going on, and we have personal injury lawsuits going on, sometimes both for the same client at once.
Okay, very interesting. So tell us a little bit about what got you interested in this particular area of law.
Sure. So this firm was founded by my father about 40 years ago. So I grew up around this, as you might imagine. And it actually wasn't always what I wanted to do. My passion was really music, and so I was pursuing going into the music industry for quite a while. And then I decided that getting a law degree was actually a good thing to do to pursue the music business path that I was taking. And while doing that, I started working as a paralegal here at the firm, and I got to watch a couple trials, jury trials, from start to finish, and I fell in love with that. And I decided, actually, I think this is what I want to do, and I want to keep music as my passion on the side. And that's what I did.
That is incredible. Tell us, okay, sidebar, tell us a little bit about your music. Is it what particular about music? Do you play an instrument? Is it producing music? What's your passion with music?
So I do play. I grew up playing drums, and then once I moved into New York City, actually, it was too difficult to play drums without renting studio space and stuff like that. So I actually started playing guitar. So I play both, mostly guitar now. But I also my social life outside of work with my friends, my group of friends, my wife even, we're all really into music and going to see live music. So I wanted to, of course, try to make that, if anything, my career if possible. But turns out I actually like it better as just leaving the business side out of it and keeping it fun. So
That's fun. That is great. So with your firm, tell us a little bit about what makes your practice unique. What are some of the unique tools and strategies that you use to maybe connect with your clients and to ensure that you do the best possible work for them?
Sure. So there are different types of personal injury law firms out there. A lot of them are what we would call high volume law firms, where typically those are more of the television advertisers, and they handle high volume, like it sounds, of cases. A lot of smaller value cases, and it's just a different type of practice than what we do. We are, I guess, what you'd call maybe a boutique firm. We're like a medium-sized law firm. We have 10 attorneys and a total staff, including the attorneys, of about 35 people. And we're not high volume. We are very selective with the cases we take. They're high value, and we give each case a lot of time and attention because they're significant cases involving very significant injuries. So some unique ways that our firm handles the cases is we do approach everything with just a team-based strategy. So sometimes that might not even be the most efficient, but it is the best we've determined for the client, because we bring as many minds together in the firm as we can to try to make important decisions. Even if that conversation takes a little bit longer, because of that, I think we get better results out of that. We also Not all personal injury law firms also handle workers' compensation cases. So construction accidents are probably the most sought after type of personal injury case in New York, because of a special law that exists only in New York, that's been around for a long time, that they passed when they were building up all the skyscrapers many years ago, to try to place strong incentives on the work sites with the owners and general contractors to keep them safe. It's a very strong law. It's not negligence. It's very worker friendly. So those cases are very sought after. And there's a lot of firms in New York that have a majority, if not all of their practice centered around construction accidents. And pretty much all of those workers who are injured in construction accidents will have two claims. They'll have a workers' compensation claim, and they'll have a personal injury lawsuit. And not all firms handle both. One of the unique things we do is we handle both. That way the client can come in and they have both cases handled under one roof. Sometimes, in fact, three, because they may end up also having a Social Security disability claim, which we will also handle for them if it turns out they qualify for that. And we'll handle their appeals too. If appeals come up, we handle the appeals. So that's one thing we really pride ourselves on, is handling everything here holistically. One shop stop, so to speak, which is, there's your, advertising tagline, which we do not use, but that's a good way of describing it. And I think our clients appreciate that. So.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the holistic approach. That's very much the approach that we take in our law firm, and the work that we do is the holistic approach. Stan, what questions do you have for Zach?
Yeah, I notice, Zach, you have a special connection to the Polish community. Tell me about that.
Sure. So when my father, David Perecman, started this firm close to 40 years ago, if I remember this correctly, because I've heard the story many times by now, as you might imagine, as our fathers do, he, was hustling and trying to get business however he could, and he found he knew another attorney who had some business to refer him, and he was going to take whatever cases he could. And they have this attorney happened to have some Polish clients to refer him, and so he took on those cases, some of which were construction accident cases. He was an aggressive litigator and trial lawyer from the start. That's how he was trained, and started making a reputation for himself representing these Polish injured workers. And it kind of grew from there. I mean, since then, he established a reputation in the Polish community for being a go-to lawyer for these work-related accidents and some others. We also started advertising in the Polish community back when newspapers were actually, worth advertising in. We used to advertise in the Polish newspapers, and even had a billboard in one of the neighborhoods that had a lot of Polish residents in New York City. We don't do all that advertising today, but we still have that reputation. And so we represent a lot of injured Polish construction workers. And we have Polish employees in our office as necessary, because we need to be able to speak Polish for them.
Well, Zach, I really appreciate the passion I hear from you. I don't always get that from litigators, but it's kind of nice to get up in the morning and feel like the work you do actually makes a positive difference in the lives of the clients you serve, isn't it?
That is the most satisfying part of the job. I'll tell you, from my perspective, I've been doing this about 10 years, and that is the way that I get satisfaction out of my job. I know there's a lot of lawyers out there who are not particularly happy with what they do. This is more not necessarily particular lawyers, but I think the more that I focus on helping my clients as opposed to what I or the firm are looking to get out of the case or the client, the happier I am and the more fulfilling and satisfying the job is.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, isn't it? If you really take care of your clients, it works for you. It's kind of how the universe is constructed, right? Yeah.
It's that ancient wisdom that has been passed down for generations, and and I think there's a reason why it's ancient wisdom is because people learn over and over again that it's true, right?
Yeah,
So
but we seem to have to keep relearning it, right? Yeah.
yeah, because we're humans and we have egos and instincts and desires and all that, and they fly in the face of that wisdom. So
Yep. Yep.
That is true. So to kind of take a little bit of a different turn, you're very passionate about what you do, and I love that. Through the work that you do at the firm, what is it? What impact do you hope to have on the world? What is it you want your legacy to be?
yeah, I mean, well, the reason why the law exists the way it does in the U.S. and it's different in every state, but where we are really a litigation friendly country. And we have a civil justice system where people who are harmed and have damages, they seek to be compensated for it, and our system is designed to help them do that. And the real reason is because it's one of the only ways to level the playing field between the average person who's out there and injured and other corporations, insurance companies that are out there that are going about business and look at those injuries, sorry to say it, but as a cost of doing business. So they don't think about the emotional aspect of it. They're just going about doing their business, and people do get harmed along the way. And I think what I do and what we do here is we level the playing field, and we're able to take somebody who maybe does not have a heavy income, and is maybe not highly educated, but was seriously harmed by someone who is represented by highly educated lawyers with a lot of resources, and we can bring the fight to them, and that I think causes those companies to make better decisions in the future about how they do things. At least we hope.
Absolutely. That is a great legacy. Fantastic. Is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know about?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I like what I do. It's yeah, it's definitely fulfilling, and like I would say, like any law job, it's stressful at times. It's deadline based, and we have to deal with difficult adversaries, sometimes even difficult clients. But that's just part of the job. And at the end of the day, it is fulfilling. So I just got to focus on the service aspect of it. That's all.
Yeah. What's it like, Zach, practicing with your father?
Um, yeah. So I mean, look, like any family business, there it can be complicated sometimes, but the reality is that we're great together. So we get along really well. I've learned a lot from him. He's been a mentor to me in a lot of ways. He's very, very passionate about his work, and I would say obsessive in a healthy way, as many people are when they have a successful business. And that's how I learned to approach my work, and then with my own twist, of course. So that's been really, really good. It's nice. I mean, it's nice working with my dad for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all so much for listening. This has been the Legacy Leaders Podcast with your hosts, Stan Miller and Katie Beth Hand. Our guest today is Zach Perecman. For more information about Zach, his firm, and the work that he does, you can visit perecman.com. That's Perecman.com. And we'll also link it for you in the show notes. Zach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the Legacy Leaders Podcast with Katie Beth Hand and Stan Miller. For more information on them and the show, please visit pinnaclelegacylaw.com. If you like what you've learned today, do share the program with your friends and subscribe wherever podcasts are found.